All right, what's up, guys? My mic was muted, so hello, welcome, and happy Friday, everyone. I'm happy that I noticed that I was muted earlier. All right, so I got one exciting thing to announce here. I've upgraded the StreamYard. That's the application or the program I'm using to do these streams. I'm upgrading it to 1080p. So finally, it's been requested by you guys. So finally, I have that 1080p resolution. So today we're going to be doing a RLZ Trading community update. So sometimes I'm going live on YouTube publicly, like I'm doing right now. Sometimes I'm going to do them privately within the community. I'm trying to do them every day. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to go live every day, but it's the plan, right? Check this out. I have 2 cameras. So one cool thing with the upgrade is I can actually now have 2 cameras. So I have one here, hello, and one here, hello. Now check the I don't know. It feels quite, it's like, I'm watching Bloomberg live on my right screen right here. And it feels kind of nice. I got 2 angles, looking all professional, trying to, get the professional feeling for you guys to make these streams as cool as possible. And I can see how my setup looks like. I have my trading view mug right here. I got the, one screen right here, and then the second one here, and then I got one on top here. It's pretty cool. Right, so let's actually look at the markets right. Weird. So did I? All right, I'm not muted now, am I? That's weird. All right, so I have to have. Okay, so I have to have this camera on. If not, I'm muted. So that's like my light. That's the extra camera. All right. So this, if I remove that, I'm still. You can hear me if I remove this one, right? Right. What's the use of having an extra camera if I can't remove the first one? Because there's no sound coming through on that one. That is so stupid. Right, I'm gonna have to work on that. Why would I need an extra camera if I can't connect the mic to that camera? Because that is stupid. Anyway, let's take a look at this right here. So we have this is the dollar currency index, and first I want to show you guys something, right? I'm going to show you this right here. So the CPI numbers that came out yesterday, Friday. It's Friday now, so yesterday is Thursday. It's not Saturday. Thursday, yesterday was the CPI numbers, and they came in lower than expected, which basically means that there's signs that inflation might be peaking. And now, if inflation is potentially peaking, we might see a possible end to this bear market. We got some light in the end of the tunnel, if you will, right? And I posted a tweet with a video right here. So see if I can actually bring that up, and if I can play it for you guys. If not, I'm just gonna play the actual audio here. So this is the couple of Fed speeches. No. All right, so it's not possible to play it. Anyway, so you can check this out. I'm going to link it in the comment. And basically what this is saying is that a lot of the people a lot of the people from this press conference here and the different Fed presidents of the local Fed Fed chairmen and Fed districts or whatever, they're saying that there's obviously signs of inflation peaking, and because of the fact that we're now for the first time seeing inflation come down with the CPI numbers, there is of course a possibility that the Fed will now look into the idea of possibly pausing quantitative tightening, or at least starting to slow down. And that's actually what that's what the market wants to see, to be bullish, right? For that risk on to come in. Now, I'm not saying that this is the end of the bear market. What I'm saying is that we have a possible shift in sentiment, and that Fed pivot, earlier this year, everyone talked about the Fed pivot, we're going to see like, it's just a very small dip is all, and then we're going to see a pivot. Now that obviously didn't happen, but we are going to see a Fed pivot at some point, and it seems like that time is coming closer and closer. Now I think that's going to happen sometime next year, and the end of this year is soon, so in not too long, maybe within 4, 5, 6 months or something like that. But it's still very good signs that we are seeing the first signs of that. Now, I do believe that the market will start pricing in a possible Fed pivot, and I do think that the market will show us signs of a possible reversal before it actually happens, right? Before it actually happens. And these are the first signs of that. The dollar currency index actually breaking down here and breaking the trend is actually the first sign of that. So let's pivot over to a trade idea that I posted in the community yesterday, and you can clearly see right here. So this was the trade idea, right, on the Nike, the GP 225, the Japanese index. And I also posted a video here explaining this trade. Now, the whole idea with this trade right here is obviously invalidated right now. So right after this live stream, I'm going to post an update saying that this trade right here is invalidated, because remember, the whole idea got confirmed. The long idea got confirmed with the CPI numbers acting as a catalyst. Now, my hopes were that we were going to see some type of retrace, and if you look at the 1 hour as well, I wanted to see a retrace down to this level right here, this area, right, where you have a very clean breakout. And usually when you have a clean breakout, you do see a retrace down and retest. Now, the market reacted very, very bullishly to the CPI numbers, and it's continuing to react quite bullishly going into Friday. So what's very important to note here, and I'm also going to write a lot about this in the newsletter, so definitely check that out. You can go to the link in the description below to sign up to the to my free newsletter. It's going to get sent out a little bit later today, so definitely check that out. I'm going to be writing a piece on the current risk on and risk of sentiment, and also the trading room is live. So if you're watching this and you're not a member of the trading room, you're probably watching this and you're probably a member of the trading room, though, because I'm doing this in the community. But if you're not a member, you can DM me on Twitter, and I have a form for you to fill in, and you can read some descriptions about the trading room as well in that form. So send me a DM on Twitter or on Discord, and we'll talk about you potentially joining the community. I'm keeping it small, right? So keeping it very small, very personal. So I'm not letting anyone and everyone into the community. I'm trying to keep it centered around trading, and trading educations. I want to help as many people as possible, and for that to be possible, we need to keep it small. So this idea right here is invalidated because it's now completely broken above the 0% fib here. And of course, when you draw a fib of a move, let's remove all of this. Actually, let's keep it on because I'm going to upgrade the setup first. But when you put a fib on, now this is slightly wrong, actually. The fib should be up here. But when you put a fib on and move like this, when price breaks above the 0, it's, to me, it's in that fib is invalidated, and the trade based on that fib is invalidated once the 0% fib gets lost. And same thing if it goes down and breaks the 0.786 to the downside. At that case, it's also invalidated. Now, there might be a scenario where you have a wick and a candle close, and another wick and a candle close, like that. And in that case, I could consider the fib and the move to be valid, right? But when you have like price action is going down like this, it's obviously invalidated, just like you see price action is breaking through this level right here very aggressively, then this idea is gone. But you can quickly see here by going through the markets right here that we do have a possible risk on scenario right here, and NCD USD also giving us a very nice long signal here on the RLZ slingshot indicator. And this is also a good sign of weakness from the dollar. You can look at the dollar currency index also completely breaking the uptrend. Very good sign of the weakness in the dollar. And obviously the weakness in the dollar comes from the idea that the Fed might now start thinking about potentially not raising hikes as aggressively as they have been in the past. It all ties into inflation and the inflation numbers, and the question now that everyone is asking is, has inflation peaked, right? So that's basically the main thing here to focus on. Has inflation peaked? We don't know if inflation has peaked, but there's definitely signs of it, right? So NCD USD moving to the upside, weakness from USD. Now this CAD CHF trade that we looked at, now the idea is somewhat, I mean, obviously we did not get the trade here because the whole idea of the trade is not confirmed, but the general idea here is actually, I mean, the idea was correct, the move was correct, and the trend continued in the direction we wanted. Now, you might see this a lot, right? So you might be scanning the markets, you might be trading a lot, and you see a lot of your trades might not hit that entry area perfectly, right? It just reverses right before, but it hits all the TPs, it moves in the direction you wanted, and the trend looks clear. And you might say that you have to adjust your system when something like that is happening. But one thing to remember here is, what if we entered here? What if we actually put our entry orders on the retest of you can see right here the fat dotted lines. By the way, guys, if you're in the community and you haven't seen the post I made yesterday, you should go to the market update channel. Check out this post right here. I linked the indicators that I'm using. I also recorded a video on how I have set up the indicators. So check that out if you're in the community, because you'll then get a better understanding of what I'm actually watching here on the chart, and the broader dotted lines that's the daily 20 and 50 EMA, while these dotted lines are the 4-hour 20 and 50 EMA. And so what if we actually put in short orders on that level right there, and we would have been filled? Let's say we've been filled on that one. Now, where would we have our stop loss? Now, according to the system and according to my way of trading, obviously you need to have your stop loss above the last swing high. When going short, you look for the last swing high, and that's going to be this one right here. So almost the same point as the previous setup, right? Now, the risk to reward on this would just be terrible, right? It's absolutely terrible. It would be, on average, using the TPs of this fib right here, would be 1.6, 1.5. And that's also one of the reasons why I only have the reload zone and the 50% fib on my fib tool, because of the way I'm trading, right? Would not give me a good risk to reward of the trade unless the rejection happens around this area. Because let's see, if we have an entry on the 50 or between the 50 and the 618 with stops above the reload zone, now the risk to reward of this trade is fantastic. It's now 3.4. Great, right? So when you see a move like this, and when you see a trade like this kind of get away from you, you have to just accept the fact that your idea worked out, right? Your idea worked out. It's not always going to work out perfectly, but it did work out. We did hit this general area where we did look for a rejection, and it did move lower. So the idea worked out. Now, did we make any money on that? No. Did we trade it? No. So, but was there any fault in our execution of this idea? And absolutely, there was no fault in this, because you just have to accept the fact that you're not going to be able to catch all the trending moves. That's just a fact of trading. This week right here, we've had only one trade in using the system. We almost got two, but we only had one trade, and that's okay, because all you really need is one good trade in a week and you're set, right? But you also have to accept the fact that some markets, they will not perfectly hit your level, and they will run without you. So you just have to accept that fact, and that it's okay. But the good thing here is the trend analysis was correct. So if you're watching this, and if this were your analysis, I know that we do have two members of the community. We got Mo, who alerted me on this one, and then we have another program student who actually also alerted me on this one, while at the same time while I was looking at this. We did have multiple members of the community watching this setup and watching this exact move. So what I want you guys to do is like tap you on the back and say, you did a good job. You identified a break in market structure, and you identified where the trend might continue. So that is great, right? That is some great analysis. Now, the first step of trading successfully is to learn analysis, right, and do proper analysis. And then the next step is obviously to apply that apply that analysis to trading, to actually trade based on that analysis. And that is the second stage of learning how to trade, which is obviously much more complicated, but it's going to be very hard in the beginning, when you start learning technical analysis and identifying trends and stuff like that. But with time, you're going to realize that when you do catch these moves, it's going to be most likely very worth it. So if you look at this trend right here, you can look at this uptrend right here. What's up, P Sniper? Hope you're doing good. Good morning. So when you do catch when you do watch this trend, so this is obviously a quite nice looking trend right here. By the way, guys, I don't have that much time to continue live stream, but I'm going to be analyzing this chart right here, give you some tips and tricks on trend analysis and how we were managed to at least predict the move of this trend. And then we're going to be looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum as well, to kind of get an idea of the crypto market. I might also have some comments on the FTX situation. I did see an interview with Justin Sun on Bloomberg just a couple of minutes ago, where he had some basically a very, very vague interview. I have the feeling that, who am I to comment on this really? I mean, it's Justin Sun, but I do have a feeling that Justin Sun, I've seen in the past that he tries to maybe not make money from a situation like this, but he definitely tries to capitalize on this in terms of his reputation and gaining gaining engagement from the population based on events like this. You will always see him make a big fuss about whatever events there are in crypto, and now he managed to get on Bloomberg Live with a Huobi T-search and having a very vague interview and not really giving any direct response to the questions in terms of if he's actually going to bail out FTX, what's happening with him and Huobi. Like nothing clear at all. It was just more about, let's show the community that there's unity in crypto. Let's just let's show there's a lot of love in the community. And then when they asked him if they're going to bail out FTX, it's like it's all on the table, and stuff like that, to kind of bring up. I don't think nothing's gonna happen on that. He did a good move though with allowing users on FTX to withdraw their Tron token, I believe. So that's pretty cool. But I don't really have any hopes on him coming along and saving FTX. I don't think that's very likely. So yeah, so you identify a trend. You have high. It's very simple, guys. This is the basics of all trading, and it's super simple. You identify higher highs. Is that high lows? You identify the higher lows right here and the higher highs. Now you have that's the last higher high. That's the higher low, and you break that low, right? So right at this very moment, you can argue that's a low, that's a low, did not break that one, that's a low, did not break that one, that is a low, and it did not break that one, and a low, did not break that one. Here's a low, did not break that one, but here it broke. That's where it broke, right? That's the change in behavior. That's the change in behavior of this trend. And it also broke the daily 20 and 50 EMA. So that's actually the change in behavior. Now what we're seeing is this is now the high of this trend, right? So here we have a high. So here's a high, a lower high, a lower high, a low, and the lower low. This is now the new trend, and the new trend looks very different from the old trend, and that's because it's a completely new trend and it has different characteristics and different behavior. And the reason why it has different behaviors is the momentum of this trend is much stronger than the momentum of this trend right now, because we have a much different environment right now. You can see the Canadian dollar absolutely dying versus the Swiss franc here. If you look at the 1 hour, the trend is much cleaner. And by the way, look at that beautiful short signal on the RLZ slingshot right here on the 1 hour. And you can see that the trend on the 1 hour is much cleaner. If you look at this trend on the 1 hour, it's very choppy, right? So when a trend is clean on the 1 hour, but it's not very obvious on the 4 hour, it probably means that the momentum is much stronger, because when you have a fast move and a strong momentum, the trend will be much cleaner on the lower time frames. And that's why it's so hard to trade moves like this on a swing trading system. When you have high momentum moves, you want to zoom in, you want to look at the lower time frames. Personally, I never go lower than the 1 hour. And if I would trade this based on the 1 hour, it would have been this would have been a trade. But then again, it did not hit that 50% fib. It did not hit that level that I would have wanted to enter. And then if I did enter on that candle, that would have been my TP1. So let's see what the actual risk to reward would have been on this setup right here. Would have actually have been worth it. This would have been somewhat of a scalp setup, and I believe that it would actually have been worth it. TP1 down here, TP2, TP3, TP4. The average of this would actually be 2.3. So yeah, it would probably be worth it, and I could have entered this one, but that was actually around the CPI announcement. So would we have entered this right around the CPI? Of course not, right? So this is just a trend and a move and a trade that we have to forget about. It never happened. Just forget about it. So let's go through the market once again. We have ADCHF is actually moving higher. This idea that we had to short this one was based on the previous sentiment that we had before CPI, and the previous sentiment before CPI was that we were in a very clear bear market without any light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to Fed, pausing QT. And now with the CPI numbers being lower than expected, we are obviously seeing this level breaking, and the question is, will we see a full-on reversal on AUD-CHF, like something like this? Maybe, probably not, because the trend is still bearish, and the trend is bearish until proven otherwise. US 100 is rallying. We were looking at a short on the US 100. Why were we looking at a short? Well, let me remind you guys that we are traders, right? We are traders, and what we care about is price action. We care about what the market is actually doing at that very moment when we're looking at a trade. Of course, we have to take macro into consideration, all that stuff, right? But we're looking at the market and the market structure of the market that we're trading. And if you're looking at this right here, and if this would have happened on a Monday and the CPI would be on a Thursday, this would be a great short, and I would probably put in short orders for this trade right here. Actually, I would put in my short orders right when we had the close of that candle, right? So when we had the close of that candle, I would put in my short orders on the retest of the 50% fib, and my stop loss would be above the 0% fib. I mean the reload zone, and the risk to reward of this trade would be 2.4. That would have been the setup. Now, what would have happened here? Well, we would have gone filled on that next candle right here, and then we come down and we test the weekly open, and it's now time for the FOMC. So around when FOMC comes along and it's now time for the FOMC announcement, I would simply just move my stop to entry, because it's not worth being short or long US equities at the time of the CPI numbers, because the whole world is watching the US CPI and inflation data. So I would just move my stops to entry right here and get stopped out on the CPI announcement. But the whole idea here was based on the sentiment that we had prior to the CPI numbers, right? Because if the CPI numbers were to come out as expected or even higher than expected, US 100 would absolutely crush it, right? Not crush it, but dump, right? So if we would be in this trade, we would probably hit TP1, TP2, maybe even TP2, because the move to the downside might have looked something like this, right? Down here, right? But now we're in a different scenario, right? So we look at this trend right now, and we have to kind of take into consideration, first of all, if we remove all indicators right here, you can clearly see here that there's not really any clear change in behavior of the higher time frames. This is the daily chart of the US 100, the NASDAQ. And what we can see here is that we have some sort of trend line going here, right? And trend line going here. You can also say that the downtrend is quite obvious here. So where do we where is the break in market structure? Well, I think the break in market structure is very close. Now, if you look at this price action right here, the signal that we got here with that higher high and the higher low was a signal telling us that this is now a local uptrend in an overall bearish primary trend, right? Same thing here. Local bullish structure within an overall bearish trend. Now, one key thing to note here is that this whole area right here is a lower low, low area and a lower low, a high area and a higher lower high. And if you look at this one right here, I'm getting some short signals right here, so we're going to check that one shortly. Now, if you look at this level right here, that's actually, well, yeah, it's actually a lower low, but there's I do have a feeling that it's kind of like a bit of changing direction here, but still, it's a lower low, high, lower high. It's still lower lows and lower highs. However, what we're seeing right now is price getting above the daily moving averages, and we are seeing a very clear level right here. This is a very, very clear level. And if we break above and retest this level right here, if we break above here and retest this level come Monday or whatever, we have a possible high time frame bullish break in market structure. However, we need to take this into consideration. Let's add a trend line right here. So I do believe that's kind of like a solid trend line. We can also do something like this, where we incorporate the upper part of this level as well. So we can move that up here and then all the way down here. Now we're going to remove that trend line. So that would be like that. A break above this trend line right here would be like the major bullish signal, and that's probably when we have I would say full on risk on market, and quite potentially also the possible end to the bear market. But that's obviously a very long way till this is going to happen. So how long would this take? Now let's see how long this move took, right? So from the all the way down here to here, that took 68 days, right? 68 days, and it would probably take something similar. So I would say somewhere between 60 and 80 days for this to actually play out, and that is the beginning of next year. And of course, we might not see us to move like this. We might see something where we break out here, range, up here, and then we range here, and then something like that. So it might take, somewhere between 60 days and, I don't know, 90 days, right? But still, that would be in the beginning of next year. And I do believe beginning of next year or sometime in the first quarter of next year is where we will see the Fed potentially pivot. And if inflation keeps going down, if the inflation number shows us that inflation has not only peaked, it's actually starting to move lower, that's where we are probably going to see a end of the bull market. So end of the bull market, end of the bear market is what I'm saying. So looking at Bitcoin right here. Now, Bitcoin with the FTX fiasco is obviously not looking very good. But what I'm just describing to you guys here with the CPI numbers and the inflation potentially peaking is the fact that this might be the bullish catalyst that will help Bitcoin recover. Now, if the CPI numbers would not be bullish, right, from yesterday, Bitcoin would be trading much lower. The fact that Bitcoin is trading up here now is probably because of CPI, because there's nothing bullish about crypto. There's nothing bullish about crypto. FTX has just fucked everything up, right? So the only bullish thing that is helping Bitcoin stay afloat at this point, in my opinion, is the positive CPI numbers for the risk assets, right? So if we continue along these lines and we start getting more positive comments from the Fed, and we also have the stuff going on in China, where China has come out and say they're gonna take it easy with their COVID lockdowns, and they're changing their whole view on COVID lockdowns, which will obviously be bullish for the economy, because basically what's happening is China is opening up a little bit more, which will help with supply chain issues and stuff like that. Obviously, China is very important for the global economy, so when China kind of starts opening up and starts opening up their economy more, and kind of maybe pivoting away from zero COVID policy, that will also be bullish for the economy, and that is something we're seeing the signs of happening right now. So it's all there. I'm finally starting to see some positive signs of a positive change in the economy, which is just great. And that's actually where I think I'm gonna leave you guys today. Let's go through again here, and we're seeing US 100 is, we closed that forward candle. US 100 is continuing to the upside. NCD JPY breaking the trend. So I do think that we might actually have some really interesting moves to be traded next week. I don't think we're going to be able to enter anything based on this today. Most likely not, because looking at the 4 hour, the retraces has to be deep enough to get a good entry, and that's probably going to happen in the evening right before market close. And I don't want to enter anything on a Friday right before the market closes, because we don't know what's going to happen on the weekend, right? So it's better to wait till Monday, see if the weekend comes with any surprises, and then trade whatever happens on Monday. So best case scenario is we see these moves retrace on Monday and bounce at support, and that's where we are going to enter based on these moves right here. And it's actually looking very, very promising right here. And if you look at Bitcoin on the 4 hour chart, it's actually starting, and on the 1 hour, it's actually starting a local uptrend, right? It's actually starting a local uptrend. Now, can we reclaim that 18.4 area? I mean, 18.5, 18.4, something like that, right? If we can reclaim that area, which is this level right here, yes, that would be very bullish for Bitcoin. That would be very bullish for risk assets, right? So that's my hopes for crypto, that we're going to see that potentially happening on the weekend, and then come Monday and we see continuation of the bullish moves, and that would just be fantastic, right? Let's go through the alerts right here. So we have a couple of RLZ slingshot alerts. We got NCD JPY breaking down. We got a short on GBP CHF. This is actually a very interesting signal. So we're going to definitely very interesting signal on GBP CHF. We might actually take this trade right away. All right, so AD JPY, we're getting a short signal on AD JPY, not agreeing with the new indicator though, so that's not going to be a trade, and it's too low. What do we have on Nat Gas? Long signal, short signal on Euro NCD, that's an old one. And GBP NCD, also an old one. Long AD CHF. So we have a few interesting signals right here, but most of these is old. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check GBP CHF, remove all the, I'm going to clear that alert log. I'm going to keep some tabs on GBP CHF. This might be a trade because look at this. It's overall still obviously in a high time frame downtrend. Obviously this is a local uptrend right here. Kind of looks like a local uptrend, but looking at the 4-hour, it kind of looks like we have a possible change in market structure. We got a low, higher low, higher low, high, higher high, higher high. I guess we have, I would say, equal lows, but a lower high and now lower low. So this would be the now new downtrend, and this would be the uptrend. So that's very important. You have to always monitor price action and always try to figure out what the actual price action is telling us before taking a trade. All right, guys, thanks for watching today's live stream. And this is a community live stream for the RLZ Trading Room. Like I said, sometimes I'm going to do them publicly on YouTube. And even if I do them publicly, everyone that's actually in the RLZ Slingshot community understand that you're always going to have priority. Your questions is always going to have priority, even on these public live streams. And I do know most of you in the chat, if you remember on that. You can also tag me in the community if you want to, if you want me to cover anything during these live public ones or the private ones. So the reason I'm doing this is for you guys, to give you guys the information necessary to hopefully take good trading decisions. Not financial advice though. Not financial advice. Trading advice, yes, trading advice, which is probably the same thing. So not trading advice, it's trading education. It's information. It's information. Thanks for joining, guys. Take care. See you guys in the next one.